Welcome in, everyone, to Lively Lewis Stories.
That's right, we're back with even more awesome adventures with Levi and Ivy.
Set your storytime meter to fun and get ready to join the Lively Lewis crew.
All you need is your imagination and...
Off we go! I can't wait to see where our story takes us today.
Have you ever wanted to get more Lively Lewis in your life?
Well, we've got you covered.
Grab an adult and zoom over to livelylewisshop.com.
Or just click on the link in our show notes.
Enough about that. Let's get to today's super Lively Lewis story.
The story you're about to enjoy was inspired by Aulani and Audrey. Thank you so much for your amazing idea. Mom, do you know where Levi is? Asked Ivy as she was walking into the living room. We were supposed to ride bikes this afternoon, and I can't find him anywhere. I'm sorry, sweetie, but he ran to the park with Dad to play some basketball, answered Ivy's mom. His friend stopped by to see if he wanted to play, and they left before you got back from gymnastics. I'm sorry. It's okay, said Ivy as she sat on the couch next to her mom. It's just that he promised me we would ride bikes today. Just stinks that all his friends live right down the street. They're always stopping by. I wish I had some friends that lived in our neighborhood. Well, things may be looking up for you. Maybe whoever just bought that house down the street will have some kids, said Ivy's mom, trying to make her daughter smile. But until then, I can ride bikes with you if you'd like. Ivy loved that her mom was trying to make her feel better. And of course, she said she'd love to go bike riding with her. So they walked outside and into the garage. As they were getting on their bike helmets, they saw a large truck drive by their house. They grabbed their bikes and wheeled them out to the driveway as another large truck drove by. What do you think is going on at the end of the street? Asked Ivy as she jumped on her bike. Maybe they're moving trucks, said Ivy's mom. All of a sudden, Ivy got very excited, remembering what her mom had said about whoever was moving in. Maybe there are some new kids moving into the neighborhood right now, thought Ivy to herself. And maybe those kids like all the same things that I do, and maybe those kids will be my best friends, and maybe when Levi wants to go bike ride with me, I'll have to say, sorry, but I'm already going on a bike ride with my new friends. Ivy's mom watched as Ivy stood in the driveway, letting the scenario play out in her head. She knew what she was thinking and suggested that they take a ride to the end of the street and find out for themselves who their new neighbors would be. Ivy rode out in front of her mom. She was very excited, but also a little nervous. Mom, what if we get up there and it's just some adults like you and Dad? Ivy called back to her mom, who was riding up behind her. Well, if they're like Daddy and I, they'll definitely up the cool factor in the neighborhood. So that's a good thing, said Ivy's mom with a giggle. Oh, Mom, said Ivy, giggling along with her. We're getting close, and I think I see a... Ivy started to say as her mom finished her sentences, a bright purple bike! She said excitedly. She felt so happy for Ivy, knowing how happy she was to see some evidence that another kid had moved into the neighborhood. Ivy nearly fell off her bike as she threw her hands in the air with joy. She hopped off the sidewalk and pedaled a bit faster to get a better look and see if she could actually see kids at the house. As Ivy got closer, she saw what she had been hoping for, a little girl about her age stepping out from behind one of the large moving trucks. She had dark brown hair that was tied up in two floppy pigtails, each one held in place with a blue glittery hair tie. Ivy couldn't have smiled any bigger. And just when she thought it couldn't get any better, she saw another little girl, maybe a bit younger than her, standing in front of the porch of the house. And before her mom could even catch up with her, Ivy had already hopped off her bike and was waving hello from the street. Hello, called out Ivy. The little girl with pigtails turned around as soon as she heard Ivy and couldn't have looked happier. Seeing the look on her face, Ivy knew just how she was feeling. The little girl called over to her sister, who ran down from the porch as quickly as she could. Hi, called back the little girl in the pigtails as she ran toward the sidewalk to meet Ivy. And it was at that moment that something magical happened. Ivy's mom had just gotten up to the house and watched as Ivy and the new neighbors met each other for the first time. She could tell at that moment that Ivy was meeting a friend she would have for a long time. Their eyes lit up as they got closer to each other, and the smiles that spread across their faces were big and bright. Ivy's mom was happy for her daughter. Then she stood back and watched as their friendship began. Welcome to the neighborhood, said Ivy as the two girls got closer. My name is Ivy. What are your names? Hi, Ivy, said the little girl with the pigtails. My name is Aulani, and this is my little sister, Audrey. Thank you for the nice welcome to the neighborhood. I have to admit, the only thing I was wondering this morning is, would there be any other kids in the neighborhood? That's why I was so happy to see you. I was wondering the same thing, said Ivy. It will be so fun to have some new kids in the neighborhood that aren't my older brother's friends. His name is Levi, and I'm sure you'll meet him soon enough. But at that moment, Ivy wasn't thinking about Levi, and neither were Aulani or Audrey. They were really happy with Ivy and wanted to get to know her better. I was wondering, Ivy started to say, sounding a little shy. I know we just met, but would you like to ride bikes with me? I could show you and Audrey the neighborhood. Are you kidding? That would be great, exclaimed Aulani. Audrey was equally as excited, and they ran off to ask their mom and dad if it would be okay. By that point, Ivy's mom stepped up behind her. I'm so happy for you, Ivy. Those two little girls look really nice, and it seems like they are just as eager as you are to make friends, said Ivy's mom. I'm going to say hi to their parents and introduce myself. Come with me. Ivy walked up to the front porch with her mom as Aulani and Audrey's parents stepped outside. Aulani immediately started filling her parents in on everything. She told them how she just met Ivy, she asked if she could go bike riding, and she definitely told them how excited she was that there were kids her age in the neighborhood. Slow down, Aulani, said her mom with a giggle. Hi, Ivy. I'm so glad you stopped over to say hello. And yes, Aulani and Audrey can take a quick bike ride around the neighborhood. Thanks for showing them around. That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Aulani and Audrey's mom, shouted Ivy as she ran over to one of the big moving trucks with Aulani and Audrey to help them find their bikes and helmets. Hello, I'm Ivy's mom, said Ivy's mom as she reached out to shake hands with Aulani and Audrey's mom. Welcome to the neighborhood. We live just a few houses down. I knew someone would be moving in soon, so I have a little gift at home that I'll have Ivy bring over. Oh, that's so sweet of you, said Aulani and Audrey's mom. I'm sure you have so much to do right now, so I'll let you get back to it, said Ivy's mom. And I'll keep an eye on the kids as they ride around. Oh, thank you again, said Aulani and Audrey's dad as he went back to the house carrying a big box. As Ivy's mom walked toward the road, she watched as Ivy, Aulani, and Audrey pedaled their bikes all around. Ivy acting as the tour guide in the neighborhood, and Aulani and her sister taking in everything she said. As they rode around, Ivy explained which houses gave out the best candy on Halloween and which one had the best light displays during the holidays. She told them all about the playset, trampoline, and treehouse in her backyard and how they were invited to use them anytime they wanted. She showed them where the bus would pick them up for school, and then suddenly realized that Aulani could be in her class. That would be so much fun, said Aulani. It'd be great to have a friend on my first day. Me too, said Audrey. Even though I'm a grade behind you, I bet I'll see you all the time. Definitely, said Ivy with a smile. And I know a lot of kids in your grade, and I can introduce you. Then Ivy rode over to her mom and asked if she could ride with them down to the park to play. We can't right now, answered Ivy's mom as she pointed down the road to Levi and his dad. We'll do it another time, but for now, why don't you introduce your friends to Levi? Hi, Ivy, Levi called out as he dribbled his basketball toward the group. Hi, Levi, Ivy said in a less than enthusiastic voice. These are our new neighbors and my new friends, Aulani and Audrey. Hi, Aulani. Hi, Audrey, Levi said with a little wave. Sorry I missed out on riding bikes together earlier, Ivy, but Timmy asked me to play basketball. I didn't think you would mind. I can ride with you now, though. No thanks, Ivy said as she turned quickly around and started pedaling away. I'm showing Aulani and Audrey around the neighborhood. We're kind of busy. Aulani and Audrey waved goodbye to Levi and followed Ivy laughing and pedaling away as they made their way down the street. Sorry, Levi, said his mom. I didn't expect Ivy to react that way. I thought she would ask you to join right in, but after thinking about it for a second or two, Levi's mom knew what was going on. She told Levi to go over with his dad, who was saying hello to Aulani and Audrey's parents, and say hello too. I'm sure Ivy's just excited to have met new friends, and she'll bring you into the group in no time, said Levi's mom. Okay, no problem, said Levi as he ran over to meet up with his dad and say hello to Aulani and Audrey's parents. After a few more laps around the neighborhood, Ivy's mom waved her daughter over and said it would be best if she let Aulani and Audrey get back to helping their parents move in. Okay, Mom, but we do have a question to ask you, said Ivy as she looked at Aulani and Audrey with a big smile on her face. We wanted to know if we could have a sleepover at our house tonight. Please, 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 said the three girls together. Knowing how excited they were, Ivy's mom felt bad having to tell them the sleepover would have to wait for another time. I know new friendships are very exciting, said Ivy's mom. And right now, you want to spend lots of time together, but I think we should give Aulani and Audrey some time in their new house first. Then I will talk to their mom and plan a sleepover for the weekend. How about that? It's better than nothing, said Ivy to her new friends. Then they all agreed that would be fine, and Ivy said goodbye to Aulani and Audrey. Remember what we said? I'll meet you right here tomorrow, and I can show you the tree house, said Ivy. That'd be great, Ivy, said Aulani. We'll see you then. As Aulani and Audrey ran back to their house, Ivy headed back home with her mom. Now, Ivy, I know you're excited about this new friendship, and that's wonderful. But let's not leave Levi out of all the new fun, okay? Said Ivy's mom. Ivy didn't really seem to be listening, as she was going over and over in her head all the fun things she was going to do with Aulani and Audrey the next day. And the day after that, and the day after that. I'm so happy to finally have friends in the neighborhood, said Ivy as she and her mom rode into the driveway. Yeah, but don't forget to include Levi, reminded Ivy's mom. It's his treehouse too, and I'm sure he'd love to show it to the girls with you tomorrow. Sure, said Ivy, sounding less than convincing. I have lots to do before tomorrow, so I'll see you later. Then Ivy disappeared into the house and ran up to her room. Levi and his dad came back shortly after that, and Levi ran upstairs to talk to Ivy. Hey, Ivy, I had some time after you and Mom left to talk to Aulani and Audrey, Levi began to say. They're really nice, and they told me they're coming over here tomorrow so we can all play in the treehouse. Ivy froze in the middle of making friendship bracelets for Aulani and Audrey. She couldn't believe what she had just heard. What do you mean we'd all play together? Asked Ivy, sounding a little upset. They're my friends. My friends! Levi was really surprised at how upset Ivy was getting and didn't know how to react. He wasn't trying to make her mad and didn't think being nice and wanting to be friends with Aulani and Audrey would make her so mad. Ivy, I'm sorry you're so upset. I'm just not sure why, said Levi. Aulani and Audrey can be friends with both of us, unless you don't want them to. You have so many friends in the neighborhood, Levi. Can't you just leave these friends for me? Exclaimed Ivy as she started to cry. Levi and Ivy's mom heard the commotion in Ivy's room and walked in to see what was going on, but she already had an idea. Is this about Aulani and Audrey? Ivy's mom asked. Ivy nodded in between tears. I just want some friends of my own, Ivy started to say. Friends that I can play with when Levi runs off with his friends and leaves me all alone. It was then that Levi knew why Ivy felt so bad. Oh no, Ivy. I had no idea that missing our bike ride trip this afternoon meant so much to you, said Levi. It wasn't just this afternoon, said Ivy, wiping away her tears. You do it all the time. Since your friends live right here, they come over all the time, and when you go and play with them, I'm left all alone. I ask you if you want to play too sometimes, said Levi. But not all the time, and sometimes I don't want to play what you're playing, said Ivy. I just want some friends that like doing what I like doing. Some friends in the neighborhood that I don't have to share with anyone else. Ivy, thank you for explaining yourself, but Levi can absolutely be friends with Aulani and Audrey just like you can be friends with any of his friends, explained Ivy's mom. But I understand that you'd like to spend some alone time with your new friends without Levi around. Yes, please, said Ivy. Levi, do you understand how she's feeling? Asked Levi's mom. I do, and it makes me feel really bad that I'm the reason she feels that way, said Levi. So, I'll do whatever you'd like, Ivy. Thank you, Levi, said his mom. I think she just needs a little time. Okay, said Levi. But would it be okay if I say hello when Aulani and Audrey are over tomorrow? Of course, answered Ivy, jumping back into the conversation. But then just give me a little time with them. Okay, Ivy, said Levi with a little smile as he got up and walked out of her room. The next day, when Aulani and Audrey came by to see Levi and Ivy's treehouse, they passed by Levi, who was outside playing basketball in the driveway. Hey, Levi, are you coming over to the treehouse? Asked Aulani. Hi, Aulani. Hi, Audrey, said Levi. Not right now. And he kept playing as they walked back into the backyard with Ivy. What's wrong with Levi? Asked Audrey. He told us we could all play together in your treehouse today. He just really loves basketball and he's practicing for a tournament he has this weekend, said Ivy. Maybe he'll join us later. The girls were fine with that answer and went to the play in the treehouse with Ivy. They were having a great time until all of a sudden they noticed Levi watching them from the kitchen window. Do you think Levi wants to play with us now? Asked Aulani. He's just sitting in the house. Ivy turned around and saw Levi looking up at the treehouse. He didn't want her to see him watching, so he quickly made it look like he was doing something else. Suddenly, Ivy felt bad. She knew just how he was feeling because she felt that way when Levi was playing with his friends. She didn't want for her brother to feel sad, so she asked Aulani and Audrey to wait in the treehouse for a minute while she ran into the house to talk to Levi. Hey, Levi, I know you were looking up at the treehouse, and I know you want to play with us, said Ivy. Yep, but I know I can't. I'm giving you and your new friend space, like you asked me to, said Levi. But now I know how you feel when I'm off playing with my friends all the time, and I'm really sorry. Please know that I won't break any more promises. If I say we're going bike riding or playing in the treehouse or hanging out making chocolate chip cookies, I'll be there. That's all Ivy needed to hear. Levi, would you like to play with Aulani, Audrey, and I? She asked with a big smile. We'd really like it. I'd really like that too, said Levi as he followed Ivy outside and into the treehouse where both played together with their new friends all afternoon. The next day they did the same. But that time, Levi invited one of his neighborhood friends over. They had so much fun together. Then, before they knew it, it was the weekend and time for Aulani and Audrey's sleepover. They would be sleeping in Ivy's room, and when it was time to go to bed, Levi started walking into his room. He looked a little sad, and Ivy didn't know why. Levi, what's wrong? She asked before walking into her room. Since Aulani and Audrey are sleeping over tonight, we can't do our normal bedtime routine, but it's okay, said Levi. I understand sometimes things need to change when friends are over. Not with me, said Ivy as she ran into her room and told Aulani and Audrey she'd be back in a few minutes. Then, as they got ready for bed, Ivy and Levi read their favorite bedtime story together like they did every night. They had a toothbrush race in the bathroom like they did every night, and they did their bedtime handshake like they did every night. That was great, Ivy. Thank you, said Levi. I wouldn't have been able to sleep without doing all that stuff, said Ivy with a smile. We'll see you in the morning for pancakes and hot chocolate. Sounds good to me, said Levi as he turned to walk to his room. Where are you going, Levi? Asked Ivy, surprising her brother. You need to pop in and say goodnight to your friends. Levi smiled, knowing that he and Ivy could share their friends, and no matter what, they would always be there for each other. Thanks for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the story and learned a little something too.
And since we know everyone has their own story, we'd love to hear yours.
If you have an idea for a Lively Lewis story, leave a comment on our Apple Podcast review page with 5 stars, your idea, and your little one's name.
Then maybe our next adventure will be with you.
Until our next Storytime Hangout.
Thanks for listening. We can't wait to share another fun Lively Lewis story with you.